Every single night, a medieval feast was laid out on Sarah Ferguson's dining room table. Entire sides of beef, legs of lamb, and whole chickens, only to be tossed straight into the trash the very next morning. Behind the closed doors of her massive estate, 17 staff members worked in absolute terror, catering to a duchess who blew through $25,000 in a single hour at luxury department stores. Sarah was living a multi-million-dollar lie, spending 5 times more than Princess Diana ever did, all while her financial empire was quietly burning to the ground. But the most shocking part isn't the wild extravagance or the way she treated her employees. It's the dark secret she was trying to hide from the world, a secret that completely ruined her by 2026. You'll want to stay tuned until the very last second of this video, because the final twist involving her hidden business partners changes everything you think you know about this royal downfall. Behind the glamorous facade of royal life lies a world of staggering indulgence that insiders say bordered on absolute madness. Imagine walking into a London wine merchant and running up a £14,000 bill in a single month. For most people, that is a year's salary, but for Sarah Ferguson, it was just a regular Tuesday. Rumors indicate her spending was so completely out of control that she could blow through £25,000 in a single hour at Bloomingdale's, leaving a trail of maxed-out credit cards and panicked accountants in her wake. But retail therapy was only a symptom of a much deeper, more chaotic crisis unfolding behind closed doors. To the public, she was a smiling, carefree duchess, but behind the scenes, her household ran like a chaotic medieval court. Reports suggest she insisted on employing 17 full-time staff members, which was 5 times more than Princess Diana kept at the absolute height of her global fame. Her payroll included a personal flower arranger, a dedicated dog walker, and a private chef tasked with preparing a nightly mountain of food. Every evening, a whole side of beef, a leg of lamb, and an entire chicken were laid out on the dining table, only to sit there untouched overnight and get tossed into the trash the next morning. Yet, the true horror of this royal household wasn't just the stomach-churning waste. It was the toxic atmosphere that pushed her employees to the absolute brink. Former aides claimed that car journeys with the Duchess were an absolute nightmare, filled with screaming phone calls that regularly reduced her staff to tears. The pressure was so intense and the outbursts so unpredictable that some employees reportedly packed their bags and quit after lasting only half a day on the job. She was burning through human beings just as fast as she was burning through cash, entirely blind to the financial avalanche that was about to bury her. By November 1995, just 3 years after her separation, her debts had quietly snowballed to a staggering £3.7 million. Her bank eventually stepped in, stripping away her freedom and forcing her to get pre-approval before signing even the smallest check. You would think a restriction like that would force her to stop spending, but she found a clever, dangerous way to bypass the banks entirely. And the secret strategy she used next to keep up appearances would completely shock the palace. When your bank forces you to get permission just to write a tiny check, most people would lock up their wallets. But Sarah Ferguson did the exact opposite. She simply stopped paying her bills entirely. Insiders say she masterminded a strategy of pure denial, breezing into ultra-luxury department stores like Harrods, running up monumental tabs, and simply walking out the front door without ever settling the balance. It is claimed she exploited the silence of wealthy shop owners who were far too polite or perhaps too intimidated to demand money from a member of the royal family. She was surviving on a house of cards, living like a billionaire, while her actual net worth plummeted deep into the negative. But you can only run from a multi-million-pound deficit for so long before the wolves arrive at the door. By April 1994, the illusion shattered when a prestigious luxury bank issued a terrifying ultimatum: pay £500,000 within 14 days or face public ruin. Desperate and cornered, she turned to the one person who could make the nightmare disappear: Queen Elizabeth. According to sources, the Queen stepped in to secretly bail her out, quietly covering the massive debt to protect the family name from a catastrophic public scandal. It wasn't the first time the monarch had rescued her, but it would certainly be the last. The palace was growing deeply exhausted by the constant chaos, and the Queen's mercy was about to hit a definitive, brutal brick wall. the financial lifeline didn't just shrink, it was completely cut off. Insiders say the Queen took the humiliating step of confiscating her official fuel payment card, signaling to the entire household that the free rides were officially over. Stripped of her royal safety net and drowning in over £4 million of debt to hundreds of panicked creditors, she was left totally vulnerable. And that is exactly when an undercover sting operation caught her in a trap that would change her public image forever. The secret footage captured her making a desperate backroom deal for a briefcase full of cash, and when the Queen finally saw the tape, it triggered an explosive fury that no one at the palace had ever witnessed before. Nothing burns down a royal reputation faster than a hidden camera capturing a secret backroom transaction for cold, hard cash. In May 2010, the ultimate trap snapped shut when an undercover reporter, posing as a wealthy businessman, secretly filmed Sarah Ferguson offering a jaw-dropping deal. For the price of £500,000, she promised she could open doors directly to high-level palace connections. The leaked footage exposed her on camera accepting a briefcase stuffed with $40,000 as a quick down payment. It is claimed the Queen was so completely blindsided by this betrayal that she labelled her with a devastating new nickname, the Duchess of Deceit. The royal family completely turned their backs on her, but the financial nightmare was only just getting started. With her reputation in absolute tatters and over 200 creditors hammering at her door, she had to find a way to make millions, and fast. She decided to dive headfirst into the cutthroat world of global business, launching a series of highly ambitious ventures. But according to sources, almost every single company she touched mysteriously crumbled into dust. In 2019, she signed on as a brand ambassador for a massive solar-powered Bitcoin mining operation out in the Arizona desert. Rumors indicate the contract was filled with extreme luxury, promising her hundreds of thousands of pounds, first-class travel, five-star hotels, and a private styling team just for her public appearances. She arrived at the grand launch event like a movie star, stepping out of a sleek black and gold helicopter surrounded by heavily armed security guards. She smiled for the cameras, holding a gold-colored shovel, completely unaware that the entire operation was built on a foundation of sand. Out of the 16,000 planned generators, reports suggest only a tiny fraction were ever built, leaving furious investors to file multi-million-dollar lawsuits as the whole venture collapsed into chaos. It was a spectacular disaster, but it didn't stop her from jumping immediately into the next project. Insiders say she partnered with a close friend to launch a high-profile lifestyle app that burned through £9 million in funding, including a massive chunk of British taxpayer money through research credits. Yet, despite all that cash, the app went completely bust without ever launching a single working product. By early 2026, the situation grew so incredibly dire that it triggered what royal commentators called a total bonfire of her vanities. In a desperate, frantic 72 hours, she officially dissolved 6 of her different corporate entities all at once. Her financial empire was a graveyard of failed hustles, and she was rapidly running out of places to hide. But just when it seemed like things couldn't possibly get any worse, a ghost from her past re-emerged from the shadows, exposing a dark financial connection that would permanently seal her exile. Sometimes the paper trail you leave behind can become a financial death sentence. For Sarah Ferguson, that exact nightmare came true when leaked communication files revealed a highly controversial financial relationship spanning more than 15 years. Reports suggest she quietly accepted £15,000 from a convicted global offender, claiming the money was strictly meant to cover the back wages of her former personal assistant. But the newly uncovered records painted a far more intricate, deeply unsettling picture. It is claimed the financial ties went much deeper, secretly covering her high-priced rental payments and ongoing staff expenses when she had absolutely nowhere else to turn. She was playing a dangerous game with her reputation, and the clock was ticking down to a total public meltdown. In one urgent message sent directly to the wealthy operative, she reportedly wrote that she desperately needed £20,000 for rent that very day because her landlord was threatening to expose her debts to the media. Insiders say she went as far as calling this highly problematic figure her supreme friend and the brother she always wished for. Behind closed doors, members of that elite inner circle found her constant financial chaos deeply entertaining. Documents indicate that associates would regularly pass around mocking headlines about her debts, laughing at how far the family would have to go just to bail her out of her endless disasters. She thought these secrets were buried forever, but by late 2025, the past officially caught up with her. When those damning messages resurfaced in September 2025, the fallout was instant and absolute. Within weeks, major television networks dropped her from high-profile broadcasting gigs, and prominent global charities completely cut ties to protect their own names. The public backlash grew so toxic that her latest children's book was completely pulled from publication just before the holidays, with 10,000 printed copies reportedly ordered to be entirely destroyed. Industry insiders stated bluntly that no one would ever want to buy her work again. Her career was completely finished, her income streams were dead, and the physical walls of her luxury world were about to close in for good. By February 2026, she was officially forced to pack up her life and vacate the Grand Windsor mansion she had occupied for nearly 2 decades. Stripped of her home, her status, and her dignity, she completely vanished from the public eye. But she couldn't hide forever, and the wild rumors about where she is hiding right now and who is secretly paying her bills are absolutely mind-blowing. As of 2026, Sarah Ferguson owns absolutely no residential property anywhere on Earth. The luxury Belgravia townhouse she purchased for over £4 million was recently sold at a devastating £400,000 loss, leaving her completely unanchored. After being forced out of her longtime Windsor residence, she completely dropped off the grid, sparking intense speculation about her actual whereabouts. No one has seen her at a major public event in months, creating a massive mystery around how a prominent public figure could simply dissolve into thin air. She has become a ghost in the high society world she once dominated, but the whispers about her new life are growing louder by the day. Reports suggest she is currently drifting between high-end wellness retreats in Switzerland, Ireland, and the Middle East, living a nomadic lifestyle with no fixed address. Rumors indicate she has been quietly crashing with high-profile celebrities in New York, seeking refuge far away from the intense glare of the British media. Insiders say she is completely unprepared for the harsh reality of paying everyday expenses at this stage in her life, with virtually no future business prospects on the horizon. Yet, despite having her primary income streams completely flattened, she somehow continues to survive in ultra-luxury environments. This has led close observers to ask a very dangerous question: who is actually funding her hidden existence? Some experts believe wealthy millionaires in Dubai may be quietly bankrolling her global travels, keeping her afloat behind closed doors. Her net worth has plummeted to a mere fraction of what she once commanded during her peak years of commercial endorsements and major book deals. Commentators note that while she is an absolute fighter who has beaten the odds before, the sheer weight of these numbers leaves almost no room for a spectacular comeback. She spent decades running from reality, burning through millions to maintain an illusion, only to end up with almost nothing left to show for it. The curtain has officially fallen on her empire, but the final staggering mystery isn't where she is hiding today. It is the one critical lesson her entire downfall leaves behind for the rest of the world. The final reckoning of Sarah Ferguson is perhaps the most brutal reminder that you cannot outrun your financial reality forever, no matter what your title used to be. Insiders say she is currently facing what she desperately fears is the absolute nail in her coffin, completely overwhelmed as the full scale of her history is brought entirely into the light. According to sources, she has described the intense public scrutiny surrounding her finances as a total witch hunt, terrified of what else could surface now that her public standing is weaker than ever before. She spent a lifetime attempting to weave a safety net out of thin air, but the thread has completely run out. Her daughters are now left navigating the fallout of an unraveling storm, desperately trying to distance themselves from a public legacy that has become completely radioactive. It is believed she is desperately seeking a final financial arrangement behind closed doors, hoping to avoid any further high-profile questioning regarding her past associations and business dealings. Yet the institutional doors have officially slammed shut, and the fallback options are officially zero. Former palace experts note that she is finally forced to face the most basic rule of economic survival, a lesson she managed to avoid for decades while living on borrowed luxury and false promises. You simply have to cut your cloth to suit your purse. She remains a legendary fighter who has managed to escape total ruin in the past, but the math behind this final chapter is utterly merciless. Millions generated, millions squandered, and millions owed, culminating in a silent exile that leaves her with nothing but a cautionary tale for the ages. The true tragedy of her story isn't just the physical property she lost or the massive debts she accumulated. It is the reality that when the ultimate illusion finally broke, there was absolutely nothing left behind.